Welcome to another edition of How to Be Happier for Entrepreneurs. This show is packed with great advice, but today, wait till you hear the advice and even more powerful, wait till you hear my friend's story. It's pretty incredible. Leland, welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, brother. It's good to be here.
Man, I am super excited about today. We're going to do an exercise live. So if you're thinking about tuning out, don't tune out. This can be life-changing stuff for you guys. Your story, man. When I heard your story, we got introduced to a good friend of mine that I've known for, 15 years or something. Your story is quite impactful. Could you walk us through your journey from the challenges you faced as a quadriplegic to finding your purpose in holistic healing?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's quite the story. Even for myself, when I look back on it, and as I'm writing my book, I'm like, oh my God, this is just ridiculous. But I joined the military at a very young age. Grew up in a military household. My dad was Special Forces Airborne Ranger, and couldn't wait to get out of the house. Of course, tired of being told what to do, so I joined the military. And got a real dose of the world in a way I never would have experienced. Went to the combat arena in Yugoslavia during the whole Kosovo conflict and dealt with quite a bit. So, of course, when we came back from the war, we had some steam to let off, and we decided to go out to one of the lakes back home and do some really fun stuff, getting pulled behind, a boat on an inner tube. And usually innocuous, it's fun. But for us, we have to do everything extreme. So, of course, we're doing this high speed, just ridiculous thing. And I'm bouncing on the water less and less, which kind of tuned into this is bad. And the moment the boat cut left, I kind of saw everything about to happen. I knew this was not good. I flung off of this thing like a slingshot. There was no holding on. People on the shore said I looked like a folding chair, just over and over and over again, the body bending in ways that it should not. And I ended up face down in the water, and that was it. No heart rate, no breathing. Thankfully, I hadn't drowned. Just everything in that moment, once I hit the water, it was like cement, just turned off. So I was dead for a little over 3 minutes, and they pulled me to the shore. And this state trooper thankfully was there and started working on me right away. It was crazy. It was one of those things. I'm floating face down. My buddy just pulls up on a wave runner, Tony. Oh my God, Tony Justice. I love you so much. Saved my life. Just wore me like a belt and sped into the shore because he knew me floating face down. This is not good. Something's wrong.
Yeah. Wow. So you're not like 10 feet away from the shore. You're out there.
I'm in the middle. Yeah, we were in the middle of the lake, doing our boating thing when the accident happened. So he had to literally like scoop me up out of the water with my. Thankfully, I had on a life vest, and we weren't too stupid. So he scooped me up out of the water, wore me like a belt, and just revved his way into the shore there. And yeah, it was it's crazy.
Do you have any memories of like what was the last thing you remember, and then what's the next thing after that you remember?
That's a great question. It's my favorite piece. Is all I remember is the water and then blackness. Everything went black. So I'm laying there in the water, floating face down, but all of a sudden there was this really peaceful experience that had come over me, and I immediately start looking over this dude that's reviving me, and he did it in a really weird way. So it was one of these out-of-body experiences where I'm just watching everything, but no thoughts, no wants, no needs, no concerns, just this isness. It's just being and knowing all wrapped into one space, just kind of watching as this guy did this xylophone action in my rib cage to get my heart going again. And it was the most peaceful experience I'd ever had. It felt like I'd come home. Like and that's funny enough why the breathing technique I created is called the welcome home method, because it brings you to that level of just peace and connection to source. It was absolutely amazing.
Was that the state trooper that was doing that technique on you?
Yeah, it was a state trooper. And it was funny too, because I mentioned it to friends in the hospital. They're like, how the hell did you know that, dude? I thought he was going to do chest compressions, and he starts punching you in the chest and doing this xylophone thing. And I described the whole thing to them, and they were just mind blown, taken back, because they're like, there's no way you could have known that, dude. Nobody's had time to tell you how the hell did you know that? And the moment I wake up, I'm telling him like, yeah, dude, I don't know what the heck that was, but that guy he was going crazy on my chest.
That is, I mean, I've heard this over and over again from people, both on the podcast, but there's this amazing show. I think it's called Near Death on Netflix. Have you watched that?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's this one or not, but the lady is in like she's like having a major surgery and her eyes are covered. And she later describes all the instruments that they use, and the doctors, they interview them and they're like, there's no way this lady could have seen anything. She was so far out. But just like you described, she was like looking down, describing everything that went on. That's incredible.
Yeah. It's any of the stories that I listen to or like in the show or I've heard from, we all have a very similar experience that's happened in that moment. So yeah, it was the most peaceful experience I've ever had, just jaw dropping.
Okay, so and what was the diagnosis in the hospital?
So we get to the hospital and they did the MRI, came back and found a silver dollar size contusion on C1, C2, right? Just wrapped around my spinal column, which is what shut everything down. Because when my neck hit, the vertebra just bam, rammed right into the back of the spinal column. And if you know anything about spinal tissue, like even the smallest scratch will make the biggest indentation or horrible experience for the body. So its only reaction at that point was to shut everything down because of course it's trying to save everything, knowing that it was just injured. So yeah, that's why everything in me shut down. Couldn't feel anything below my Adam's apple. I actually woke up in the ambulance in a horse collar. You can imagine the age of 19 years old. I have all the power in the world. I knew I wanted to be special forces because I worked dropping them off in places and things. And man, here's a whole different experience. You're 19, you can't feel anything. There's this big horse collar around your neck. And then after you tune in to the guy going, can you feel that? You're like, what is he talking? Holy crap. Where are my legs? Why can't I feel my feet? Where are my arms? Nothing's moving. When I swallow, there's this weird feeling like my Adam's apple won't go all the way down. Like it was immediate terror set in, kind of like in the combat situations when we left, the combat arena, that exact same fear just trapped in my body. Like, oh my gosh, I can't feel anything. Shit.
So you can't feel, you can't move. How long does this? Yeah, we'll carry on because this story. I know you shared this with me in the hospital room. What happened? And
so you can imagine days of self-loathing. I mean, I can't feel anything. I can't move anything. I feel like I'm trapped in my own body. I close my eyes to go to sleep, and all I can see, smell, and hear are all the things that we had just been through in Yugoslavia and all the other stuff that had happened. So it's like a prisoner in your own mind and a prisoner in your own body. I wanted to, like the inside of me just wanted to jump up out of the bed and run out of the hospital screaming, but I couldn't. I was stuck. So you can imagine for 3 days, there was a lot of this self-loathing and woe is me to the point where I didn't want to live anymore, man. That was it. I was done. 19 years old. Are you kidding me? Like, this is my life. I know some people might look at that and think, oh, I'll be fine. Like, I did not have that going on. 19 years old, my life was over. I was asking friends to kill me. That's how bad it was.
Wow.
I was like, dude, this is horrible. Do not let me live like this. You have to take me out. It was just gut-wrenching.
Wow.
So thankfully, all the training that they put us through, because I hadn't done my Hell Week, right? I had to go down to do Hell Week if I wanted to even be considered for Special Forces. But before that, I was at least put through specialized training, like SEER training, survival, evasion, resistance, and escape, POW training. I got my expert marksman badge, so I was perfectly well on my way to being a sniper if I had wanted to. So all of that training kicked in, and somewhere in the middle of the doctor's management of my life, like, you're just stuck with this. We're going to have to put in a wheelchair ramp, all the things when I think back, just rolling through my head, driving me nuts. And in the middle of it, I remembered what they had taught us, which is you're never alone. You're never forgotten. Never give up. Always try to escape. Always try to evade. Resist, resist, resist. Don't give up. Don't give up. We're coming for you. You're not forgotten. All of that. I mean, every time I mention it, it's like I get this rise in my body. It's just been programmed into me, and something told me to just say hell no. And that's exactly what I did when the doctors running through all the things that they wanted to do or surgeries they wanted to try or whatever the hell else they wanted to do. And it was just this emphatic hell no. Well, it was not a hell no, but I'm trying to be a little more PC for the recording. So the moment I said no, I got this feeling that went down the sides of my shoulders, inside of what's called your brachial plexus here. It's this big complex of nerves. And that was like jolt. You can imagine, just jolted my eyes open. Like, what the hell was that? And in that moment, I didn't mean to, but I was like, Doc, there's something going on here. I need you to actually get the hell out of the room and send my friends in for me. You know, Kelly and Tony were sitting outside. I was like, I need to talk to my friends. I don't need to talk to you right now. You're telling me something's not going to happen. Something's happening. I've got to have a conversation with people right now. And
Wow.
that was my universal sign. Like, okay, hold on a minute. You're not stuck with this. There's something you can do. And that was
Leland. Couldn't that be great advice that you received in training for any human being, whether they're military or not, is that you're not forgotten, you're not alone, and don't give up. Like,
yes.
you're never alone. Ram Dass says, like, you're never alone. You've got yourself. So
Yeah.
don't ever be lonely, because the one person that can love you more than anyone is yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. He says it all the time. You couldn't possibly be lonely. It is an impossibility for you to be lonely. So yeah, it's something that I have now instituted in all of the training, whether I have spinal cord injuries that I work with, cancer patients, MS, all of it is based on never giving up. Of course, I can't promise you what's going to happen. I can't promise you what's going to happen, but I can promise you I'm going to be right there by your side the entirety of the time that you decide to fight. I'm going to fight with you. So that's something that I really ingrain into our warriors is you're not stuck with what you got. We are not our circumstances and experiences and built up whatevers. We are what we choose to become. So you are given some sort of circumstance or situation. You choose what to make out of it. It's completely up to you.
Yeah, and as it sounds like you're a fan of Ram Dass, he also says everything in this world is perfect, and it took me a long time to really get that. A long time. Like, how can you be telling me like the genocide in Rwanda is perfect? And it's perfect because there's a plan that we're just part of this larger plan. And if you just live your life and just go with that plan, okay, I have a flat tire today. Okay, I'm sick today and I can't play golf. Okay, I broke my neck, messing around on a water tube. There's a meaning behind this. Look what it got you. Like, is there a better example than you? Like, you became a quadriplegic and now you're walking and you're helping other quadriplegic change their lives. So freaking amazing. So tell us about the PT. Speaking about the deal with the cards that you're dealt. Holy moly! So what you got this PT guy to help you out? What was his story?
Yeah. So, of course, fourth day, right after I had made my declaration, of course, when the student's ready, the teacher will appear. The universe is always listening. To your point on that plan, it was like, okay, he's done. He's in. So the physical therapist walks in. And at first, I didn't like the guy because he walks in and he tells me, all right, so we're going to do physical therapy and we're going to move through some stretches. Some of this is probably going to be a little uncomfortable for you. Thankfully, you won't feel much of it, but we're going to work through a lot of the things like the atrophy that's happening in your muscles since you're not actually activating your nerves. And we're going to do yoga. I know that may sound weird, but we're going to do some yoga. And of course, I'm 19 years old. Oh my God, I wanted to go off on this guy. I'm just looking at him like, man, if I could move my legs, I would chop you in the throat right now. Yoga. You just walked into a quadriplegic's room talking about yoga. Thanks for reminding me, Doc. And that's when his whole demeanor changed. And he was like, I get it. But just pay attention to the fact that yoga actually is comprised of 196, what we call sutras or threads of knowledge. 4 of them are physical. 192 of them are all about something called pranayama, the control of your breath and control of your life force. The absolution of you is found inside of your breath. So of course he got me like that. That paused me for a minute. Like, all right, you're not such an idiot. I thought you were just a moron. Yoga. I'm going to do yoga right now. So, of course, he took me through some yoga breaths. There's some out there for those that know yoga, like Bhastrika, Tumo breathing, some of these other breath styles that are out there. So he took me through a round of Bhastrika breath, or bellows breath, for some of you that know it as that. So he took me through some really heavy type breath techniques and had me do some of these breath holds. And in the moment that I hit that breath hold, which you guys will get to experience here in a little bit, it was the exact same feeling. And of course, you can imagine I let go right away, came out and was like, what the F? Just staring at him. Like, what did you just do to me? Because that same feeling came back inside of my shoulders, and I just got the little tingles that ran down to the edges of my shoulders. And I was like, dude, I don't know what the hell that was, but let's do it again. So after I continued to do more and more of this breath work and dig in on it, the more that I did it, little pieces or sensations, even if it wasn't a true feeling, like pressure in my lower back, right? Or something that wasn't there before would start to come forward. So that was, of course, the universe answering my call, knowing I wasn't finished. This is not where I'm
Wow.
stopping. And then in walks this guy. Yeah.
So how long before you're walking?
I was walking steadily. Well, it was actually stumbling. I was walking with a cane within the first 2 years. It took me around about 2 months to get most of the sensation back in my upper body. I really didn't have fine motor skills back. I couldn't really move fingers and digits very well. I couldn't grab things if I even tried. I was dropping them all over the floor, but I was moving arms. I was doing things he told me previously was impossible. Just get used to what you're doing, even to the point where this is why I was becoming an MD. Now I'm obviously, as you know, just becoming a neurochemist and neuropsychologist. But even in the fact of me gaining some of these things back, they're training. He'd still poo-poo on it. Like, don't get too excited. You got your upper body back. That doesn't mean you're going to get it all. But like, I just wanted to punch him in the face. Like, dude, I did something you said was impossible. Shut up and congratulate me. So I just dug in on this. And the more they pushed back, the more they wanted to medicate, the more they wanted to surgery, the more they wanted to do all these things. It just pushed me further to keep on going and ignore the quacks, even though they were the medical authority for me. So I just kept going, man. And within 2 years, got myself back up on my feet. I was, wasn't like the steadiest. I still had to walk with a cane, but holy shit, I was walking again.
And now are you 100% or do you still have effects from the accident?
Yeah, I'm now 100%.
Wow.
As you know, I also had a second accident in 2019, so had to work through that again. But in the middle of a coherence healing, I've been doing the breath and everything, and at a Dr. Joe event, right in the middle of one of those coherence healings, legs turned on, and it was the most massive amount of pain in the bottoms of my feet, and that was all that I was missing. Was, a little neuropathy and numbness and inside of the feet. So that came back, and I am now 100%. Everything works exactly the way it should.
So before we jump into this amazing breathing technique and get to what you actually do now, your story is remarkably similar to Dr. Joe Dispenza. For those that don't know who Joe Dispenza is, can you give the 30-second version of how he got to where he is, and then tell us because I know you work with him now, and man, I'm so envious of you on that front. Can you, just tell us a 30-second version, and then what you do with Dr. Joe now?
Yeah. So basically, he was out riding his bike and got tagged, and I mean tagged by a vehicle, and pretty much broke every vertebra in the guy's back. So while mine was a spinal cord injury, you can imagine the protection of that spinal cord just completely being shattered. So you can imagine he was bedridden as well. There was no walking around for him in that moment because he had to heal the issue that he had dealt with. And he, using his modalities, had, done the same thing. Basically, in the hospital bed, decided, well, I've got nothing else to do. I'm going to meditate, and I'm going to focus on all of my centers, and I'm going to focus on re-putting everything together and replacing things and repairing all of these different things. And that was, of course, the first book I got was Becoming Supernatural. So he talks about it in there. And of course, now he's up there on the stage, 100% teaching other people how to do the same thing. And as you mentioned, I have had the honor of volunteering and working with him at his events. And while I haven't gotten to work like one-on-one personally with him, just being in his presence and being able to soak up some of the things he talks about, absolutely amazing, as you know.
I have not gone to his event, and I need to. I know they sell out so fast, thousands of people in like 5 minutes, they're gone. But I need to get to an event. And if you haven't gone to an event, I would highly urge you, because I've heard nothing but exceptional stuff. I have read his book, The Placebo Effect. Unbelievable. A lot of the stuff he teaches, I've been teaching before I even knew he existed. So really, really cool stuff. So tell us, what is it that you do now?
Yeah. So basically what I've done is, after the whole messy middle, right? Because I got myself back up on my feet and I had to figure out how did I do that? I knew why I did it, but I needed to figure out how so I could replicate that again, right? So especially around about 2016, I had heavily dug into neuroscience and psychology. I now have my bachelor's in psychology, working on my master's in applied neuroscience, and then going for my double doctorate in neurochemistry and neuropsychology. So basically what I've done is, for the better part of a decade now, I've just been attaching and connecting dots between the ancient breath techniques, and I'm talking all of them, man. I've been just whipping through them all, Tumo breathing, you name it, and created a breath technique called the Welcome Home Method, linking neuroscience and psychology, like what's actually happening in the body, what neurotransmitters, neuromodulators, what hormones are being created, what does that do, how can I affect this hormone and elevate that to create healing inside of the body. And now there are a few programs that I run people through that really teach you in a very simplistic way how to control this one thing that we have not been taught since our childhood is our powerhouse. You can absolutely activate over 14, 15, sometimes 1,600 different chemicals and compounds inside of your body just by affecting your breath. And these ancient cultures already knew it. When you read through like 7 books of the Tao, it literally talks like it's a how-to manual to affect your breath and change your entire experience of life.
It is so incredible. Who is it? It'll come to me in a second. Sadhguru, who's like, it just, in the last 20 years, they had to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to figure out what we already knew for thousands and thousands of years, right?
Yes.
Incredible to me, like the new stuff that they've learned, but the ancient folk knew about this stuff. Absolutely incredible. So Leland, who is like the perfect, who comes to you?
Oh my goodness. So of course, spinal cord injuries come to me, and to say that I almost want to cry thinking about it, I get emotional thinking about it. I have not just spinal cord injuries, but MS patients who have lost the ability to walk, who are now, one of them today, Jim, who's very actually well known in the Dr. Joe community. They call him Thor because he's just amazing. Started feeling for the first time in a decade pain in his finger, and also these sensations moving down through his legs and calf, like impossible as far as the medical community is concerned. He lost that function due to brain lesions because of the MS. Now that's coming back for him. I also have cancer patients. We have Parkinson's also. I'm working with Parkinson's folks. Anything neurological, the breath is magic for it. It's just, it does amazing things to the nervous system. And we also have, if anybody knows the difference between an incomplete and a complete injury, an incomplete injury still has some sort of feeling below that injury inside of the spinal cord. A complete injury means there is no sensation. It is all stopped from wherever that injury has happened. And one of our other Dr. Joe advanced students, who also has been practicing the breath now for well over about 1.5 years, almost 2 years, is starting to move legs, starting to lift her knees up off of the ground when the doctors told her it was impossible. So even complete injuries are starting to notice things. It's just, I'm blown away myself, because I knew I could come back, but now I'm watching other people do it with the same breath technique that I used.
Unbelievable. Leland, do you think or believe or know if the breathing techniques that you teach and train on help to heal childhood trauma?
Yes, very much so. And especially since I am somebody who had dealt with a lot of childhood trauma, beaten and broken from the age of 5, raped and molested from the age of 7. It helps to unpack things minus that emotional charge. Literally, when you do, and I've done it myself, and this is obviously just me saying this, but I've heard it from other folks that it's literally in one breath session, like 30 therapist sessions. And just one 60-minute sitting of breath, I get more done than I could talk to my therapist about for the next, 16 weeks. So
There was a reason I asked that question. And there's a lot of smart people, a lot of smart doctors. And Joe, I'm not going to say he's one of them, but I think he might be one of them. You mentioned three things: Parkinson's, cancer, and MS. There's a lot of really smart people that believe all three of those are caused by unprocessed childhood trauma. So the reason I asked is because it's probably a combination of science and the fact that you're healing the stress that caused a lot of this stuff in the first place. Like, that to me is mind blowing. What are your thoughts on that?
It's absolutely what's happening. So in my studies, one of the things that I really love to study more than anything is called epigenetics. And epigenetics is literally the study of how your genes are read, right? This is 1.8% of my genetic structure. So there's 98% plus just sitting there waiting to be rewritten and coded, right? Well, in that same way, also the experiences that you have in your body also get put into that storage unit, right? All of that energy, if you think about it, if I have a thought that moves into an experience, I have a feeling about it, I've now created an electromagnetic signature inside of my body that gets stuffed into my body. And that's exactly what we're looking at. So much of the medical field is finally starting to shift and come around to that. And they're noticing that psychological stress is actually the reason for 93, if not more, percentage of all of the things that are on this planet, especially autoimmune, cancer activations, all of these things that are happening. It is based on unprocessed trauma that's just sitting in your tissues.
So if you're one of those people that are like, who is this guy? Who are these two guys talking about this? They're crazy. There's no way that my childhood could have created my cancer, my MS, my Parkinson's, my addiction, my depression, my anxiety. You can keep, because I was one of those guys, not the depression, but the medical things. If you'd have told me 5 years ago, before I went through my transformation, did all my studying, I'd have been like, no way. And now, yes way. This is, like you said, 93% of all disease and afflictions are because of this unresolved childhood stress, right? And programming and trauma. And you have a way, and I have a way that we can fix this literally in like weeks, months, not 30 years of therapy like I went through. All right, well, so let's get to the breathing. Can you share, because I want to do it myself. Can you share with us like the most powerful breathing technique you have?
Yeah, absolutely. And the great thing about this one is it's called 60 Seconds to Freedom, especially when I was dealing with my addiction and things, not just the pain of learning how to walk again. I needed something that was quick. So 60 Seconds to Freedom is seriously going to be 10 breaths in and out of your nose. This is a Tumo style breath for any of you that know Tumo style breathing. This comes from that ancient technique. So we're going to breathe in and out for 10 seconds. It's nice and even. I want you to keep the inhale even and the exhale even. And I believe it should have, if I make sure, I just want to make sure that I have that reduce the mic noise background stuff off. Because if I do, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So it sounds like this. So just about 2 to 3 seconds in, 2 to 3 seconds out, all from the belly. Leave the neck and shoulders release. You're going to feel tingles. You're going to feel some shifting and some changing. Trust the body. Continue to move through it. On the 11th inhale, I'm going to have you breathe in and hold. And when you hold, I just want you to melt. You're going to swallow. So try swallowing. Notice how your attention immediately went here. It's all I want everybody to do is just swallow. Let your shoulders fall. Let your face melt. Let all of your body go as you're holding, and allow what's happening in the body. It's called the deep diver effect. Of course, at first, when you're holding, the body's like, I need oxygen. And then all of a sudden, this component just settles in. The CO2 starts to open up all the oxygen in your body. You start to get this cascade of neuromodulators and transmitters. Your bliss chemicals kick up. You're going to love it. So just trust the process. And also, don't do this while you're driving. If you're driving right now, please don't do this.
And for those of you who aren't watching a video and are listening to the actual podcast, your mouth was closed. Is that right?
Yes, mouth closed. This is all in and out through the nose.
All in and out through the nose. And you're gonna walk us through this for the next 60 seconds, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I'm gonna be right there with you. I will breathe the first 2 breaths with you so you can kind of pick up on the pace, and then I'll walk you through.
Eyes open, eyes closed.
Eyes closed. Yeah. Cut off the sense of sight. Give yourself that internal going in. So that way you have more of an internal feeling, because when you cut off one sense, the other 4 build.
All right, let's do it.
Settle in. Make sure you're in one of those seats like him, nice and comfy with a back to it. So that way you can kind of just sit back, sitting up tall. Let your hands rest on your knees. You can soften, close your eyes, and breathe in all the way up and hold. Hold your breath. Let your shoulders fall. Keep your mouth closed, in and out through the nose as you exhale all the way. Keep that breath continual with that power and sound. No pauses in between. Continue to breathe in and out. Just a couple more. You're almost there. What you're feeling is normal. 2 more. Last one. Breathe in and out. In all the way up, all the way up. Swallow into your belly. Shoulders fall. Face release. Sink in. Go on that journey. Melt. And when you're ready, slowly start to exhale. And let it go nice and slow. As you exhale, feel that wave that moves through the body. Cascade of healing chemicals and compounds, happy, relaxed hormones. And take your time and make your way back.
Wow.
And that's just 60 seconds. That's our quick hit technique. So we go in and do 20 to 60 minutes of that most of the time.
Wow. So if you missed that and you're just like jumping at the end, make sure you rewind this and go back and do this. Do it a couple of times. And if they want to do and have more of effect, can they just take that longer? Can they do it for 2 minutes, or how does that work?
Yeah, usually whenever you do Tumo style breathing, it's about 30 to 40 breaths in and out. So you can do a 30 breath cycle for yourself and then hold at the end. The key is to not make it a chronic thing, because of course, if you make hypoxia, which is when you do those holds chronic, it can be maladaptive or bad.
Unbelievable. That was great. Yeah, I can feel it. My fingers, I can feel it. Yeah. Wow.
Love it. Yeah. So you can imagine when I got that going on, when I was paralyzed, I was like, man, give me more of this.
So we're going to switch a little bit and then we're going to wrap. We talked about an alkaline diet and lowering the body temperature in the healing process. Can you talk about that and the benefits?
Yeah, absolutely. So the big key to the alkaline diet is bringing your body back to what we call base, right? Or that alkalinity. And the gut and the body itself have 2 different pH levels that it loves to operate off of, right? So the cleaner that we can eat, the better the pH is going to be inside of our gut. So that's the water we drink, the food that we eat, the more alkaline that you can eat, of course, that's going to affect your body. And then, of course, if you mix that with breathing, which is what I did, especially when diagnosed with cancer, was I mixed the alkaline diet eating with my breath. And the breath is what creates alkalinity throughout your body, inside of your blood system. It's the elevation of oxygen and the lowering of CO2 that elevates that pH level or that alkalinity inside of your body. And literally what that means is you're creating an environment within that dis-ease and disorder cannot operate or exist within, because fungus and bacteria and virus and all of these horrible mutations like cancer cannot operate outside of a certain scale. They cannot survive in certain environments. So the more that you can create that for your body, the more you literally purify and cleanse your blood, your tissues, everything.
Unbelievable. So I'm an absolute huge health nut and longevity nut. I turned 51 a couple of days ago, and I'm manifesting. I'm going to live to be 110 because I want to keep doing this work for another 59 years. Yeah. So tell us this, Leland, the top 3 foods that are good for alkaline, the worst 3 foods or substances, and then what would be an ideal breathing program to get that alkaline state?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So the top alkaline foods I like to go for are green cruciferous vegetables. Not to mention your lungs, your blood, everything in your body loves that. But also sticking to, obviously I cut out meat when I was doing that. I'm not saying you have to go vegan, but if you are going to source meat, then try going with a lot of the better pasture raised stuff if you're going to do that. But if you're looking at the alkalinity side of things, my top 3 favorites were carrot and ginger, those two mixed in together. Lots of broccoli, loved broccoli or cauliflower, and also apples. Funny enough, apples have just an amazing amount of alkalinity inside of them. Also potassium, phosphorus, all of that good stuff. So I love, and I've got a whole bunch of them sitting right here, my fruits and vegetables, because the more alkaline you can eat, and there's a discussion on nicotine being inside of some of those things, which helps the body out. That's a whole nother discussion that aids in the process of dumping. But as you mentioned, the 3 worst ones, oh, my dear Lord, please, if there's one thing you can cut out of your life, soda. My dear Lord, you have no idea what you're doing to your body. Not only are you creating sulfuric acid, but just take a Coke can and pour it over your battery terminal and watch what it does. And then decide from there if you want to drink any kind of soda anymore. Like, disgusting. So a lot of the oils that we have out there are really bad for the alkalinity of your body. And we don't notice it. That's one of the things, is it goes right under the radar for us in our society, because they put high fructose corn syrup, or they put, this nasty, disgusting oil inside of absolutely everything. And for me, I'm also born and raised Italian. Olive oil is the only thing that touches the inside of this body. The rest of that stuff you can keep for yourself, because it's just so bad. It bogs the body down a lot.
How about avocado oil? I use that a lot.
Avocado oil is epic. That's another great one. Of course, if it's based on something that's natural, you're going to get a high level of alkalinity. You've also got these polyphenols that are inside of avocado and inside of olives that really uptick not just your alkalinity, but cleanse and purify the body. So yeah, avocado oil is a good one.
And then finally, the breathing. What breathing should we be doing? How often, how frequently, to get to this alkaline state?
So at least twice a day, I would say 3 times a day, at least 20 minutes, 3 times a day, because when you do this type of breath work, you'll create this positive environment in your body for 4 to 8 hours. Sometimes you're probably still feeling some of the effects, because when you elevate these neurotransmitters and modulators, which are all based on hormones, then you completely shift the body. It's like taking a pain pill. They tell you to take them 3 times a day. That's because it enacts the process in the body and then turns off. Breath does the exact same thing without having to take the pill. So 3 times a day, 20 minutes a day, and you are going to feel amazing changes in just a couple of days.
Love it. Love it. Leland, how can people, if they want to learn more about you or working with you or your book or your breathing techniques, how can they best find you?
Yeah, you can find me at thewillfulwarrior.org. You can also email me at thewillfulwarrior@gmail.com. And it's funny you mentioned my book. My book, Heal Yourself, will be out by my birthday, June 1st. Well, I have it finished by June 1st, and I work into the publishing and all that good stuff.
That must be exciting. Wow.
Yeah, really exciting.
Well, I knew this was going to be awesome. It's even exceeded my expectations. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so glad that everything worked out for you, and you're on this planet now saving other people. Man, it's a beautiful thing, and I'm grateful to call you a friend.
Same, brother. Same. Thank you so much for everything you do, and it was a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So that concludes another episode of How to Be Happier for Entrepreneurs. Remember, I'm on a crusade to help 1 million people change their lives forever and give them the freedom and the joy and the happiness that they deserve. So I need your help. And all I'm asking is, if you like this type of stuff, please share it. Please like it. Please give me a rating or review. Anything you can do to help spread the word, because there are suffering people, and most all suffering in this world is self-inflicted. And if we can just get the word out to help those that are suffering, the world will be a much better place. So until next time, remember, love heals all.